You. He's got the bathrobe on. Now. About to witness. Awesome. A crushing might. Oh. Wait for it. Wait for it. Knuckle! Woo! I know there's some of you who can't make it past the intro. Some of you guys say, hey, that douchebag, I can't make it past his fucking intro. Yeah, well, you know what? Some things in life present burdens that must be shouldered without complaint. This is round number 319. In regards to UFC 197, I will only tangentially address Bellator. In light of all of what I'm discussing. Rope and dope's all a live-long game. That's the name of the game. That could have been the entire show. But first, the song that starts it all off. Stigmata. Calling it just intro, all of nothing. 10 times a day, these lines go through my head. I'm on my way back nowhere. I took my time, but I could not seem so clear. I'm taking a real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face. Or being paid back in full, always nothing. All right, that's Stigmata. You know, there's a great movie. I think it was Marlon Brando's first and only directorial debut. Well, it's not a debut, but it's first and only. His Marlon Brando's one picture he directed, and I believe it was the one he directed, called One-Eyed Jacks. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. It was sort of his attempt to do the Orson Welles Mercury Players bit, but he had Carl Malden, who was in A Streetcar Named Desire with him. It was him. He wrote it, acted it, directed it, as far as I know. But he's got a great scene. He's got a great scene in it where he's being savagely beaten by Carl Malden's character. And I won't spoil the movie for you since it's phenomenal. And you should see it for one very specific acting moment. Tell you what, you see it, then come ask me what the acting moment is that I think on the face of it marks, despite his massive failures as a father or in life as a human being in general, what makes, you know, when I say that I don't think acting is an art, it's a craft. There's certain people who do manage to raise to a state of art. There's one scene in this movie, One-Eyed Jacks, where Brando does something so completely phenomenal that at that point, everybody who acts should just put their shit down and go away or learn from the master. But he's got a scene where he's being savagely beaten by Carl Malden's character. And he says, as he's, you know, crawling across the floor like a worm, he says, well, Pa, you're a regular one-eyed jack around here, but I seen the other side of your face. I seen the others. And he's referring to the fact that on a deck of cards, you know, the one-eyed jack, well, it's the jack whose head is turned. You only see half of his face, but the other half of his face, you know. So when Bob Riley, the singer for Stigmata, sings, I'm taking a real good look at you, I'm taking a real good look at your face, he's very clearly referring to the difference between, you know, the difference between reality and perception, or reality and actuality. And that's what we're talking about on Knuckle Up number 319. Gotcha. I'm your host, Eugene S. Robinson. This is Knuckle Up number 319. The S today stands for sleepy. Hence the bathrobe. We played a show last night, and I got to tell you, it was a show at night outside. Well, most shows are out at night, so that's not a surprise. But it was outside, and it was in a stone amphitheater, the kind of place you would have done theater, actually. But I haven't realized what a friend wooden floors have been in my stage career with Oxbow. But honest to God, this the stone floor is killing my legs. My ankles, Achilles tendons are all screwed up. But at least I got the T-shirt, buddy. Songs for the French. Anyway, so look, in terms of picks, if you look at my X's and O's, can you see it? The light might be too intense. There you go. You know, all of my crap picks were early on the card, with the exception of one where I didn't really care. But again, I'm at 500, so I don't know how Kid Nate did. I'm sure Smirk will make note, since he said I was perilously close to either being Phantom Toll Booth or Lost Battalion. You know, I think maybe I've had enough of building up Kid Nate's confidence. But in any case, I'm guessing you saw the fight. And I'm not even going to drag you through the undercard. We're going to go backwards in time, much like Knuckle Up goes backwards. Last week was 320. This is 319. Next week, oh, wait a minute. Is this 319? I may have screwed that up. I actually think I'll have to change that later. I think it's actually 318. I'm sleepy. It happens. I'll change it before the people who come on Monday to watch. So anyway, I see now I failed you. I have disgraced myself, and I have disgraced the Shaolin Temple. So, okay. So this fight with Johnny Boney Joni, I'm going to start with that right away. Let me tell you the worst thing that I saw. The worst thing that I saw on UFC 197, and I'm sure none of you have thought of it. I'm sure you haven't embraced it, or maybe only given passing notice to it, but I'm going to tell you right now exactly what the worst thing was about UFC 197. And it was one of those Joy Division-esque errors. And I'm talking specifically of Ian Curtis singing the line, "Made a fatal mistake." And that was in friend of Knuckle Up, DC, Daniel Cormier, being anywhere on that broadcast other than in a seat with shades on, waving. You gotta be fucking kidding me. This is a guy with 1 foot out of the fucking door. I cannot believe you. I cannot believe you. What sadistic maniac suggested that? Who thought that was a good idea? Or what masterful salesperson sold that to him? What masterful, satanic salesman sold that to him as a good idea? Because it was absolutely not any Zika. A mosquito just flew in my mouth. It's not any kind of smart thing to do. Okay, let's just back up in time. First of all, you tweet out X-rays or whatever, doctor's report, you're undercut. They see your face. You're sitting there with shades next to some nondescript enabler cat, whoever you friend, I guess that's what you call it. I guess that's technically Eugene, who has no friends. I guess that's technically what they're called. Those enabler cats. You mean friends? Whatever. So you're sitting next to some enabler cat, and you got your shades on. The camera comes to you, and you just kind of go. That's it. You don't put on the fucking motley. You don't put on the suit and the baby blue tie and the nice press shirt, and you don't sit there with Joe and Goldberg. However, I was super happy that he did do that, because Goldberg clearly is on to us. If you don't think that Goldberg knows about us talking about the CGS, which stands for Creepy Goldberg Smile, you're crazy, because you can watch. Now I'm watching him, and I see him stifling. I can see the mental two-step where he starts to go, next to motherfucker. Well, isn't that right, Joe? When DC says, and he it's like marlin fishing, and he reels it back in. And when DC showed up, somehow the chemistry was a little bit different. It wasn't just him and Joe. He couldn't think straight. And so we got the preponderance of our creepy Goldberg smiles during the DC thing. So from that point of view, it was good. But he could have just come in with the shades, the enabler cat, and you know, said a few vague niceties and wandered off into the Vegas night. He didn't have to show up and do the fucking show. Look, I'll tell you what happened. At this, we played this PRF festival. It's an outdoor thing. It's an offshoot of something that Steve Albini started in Chicago. It's a local deal outside. It's nice. You know, people came from as far away as the East Georgia, and nice thing. And the guy who put it on, I did a song for him on a project he has called Conan Neutron and his Special Friends, like a Special Olympics, or Secret Friends, I'm sorry. And he's got Dale Crover from the Melvins playing drums. He's got me singing a song with him. And so he said, hey, man, why don't you play? Why don't we do an outing of the Secret Fans? We could do it live. You could sing the song you sang with us. And I go, well, that's good, except you haven't done the math on this. When are we going to do it? We're going to do it before Oxbow plays? No, because it's, you know, that's why they hide the bride. You don't see the bride and see the bride again. They hide the bride, and the bride comes out, they present the bride, and you're married. That's it. You know? So he goes, no, it'd be great. So I'm going to thrash out my voice for one song, and then how does that serve Oxbow? It doesn't. You know, I do it after Oxbow, but Oxbow's headlining the show, so we can't, or what we call playing last, other people call headline, can't do it. So we decide not to do it. So that's what we call tipping the hand, you know, screwing the pooch, call it whatever the fuck you want. You don't, he doesn't have to be there. He doesn't have to be there. You don't give us the show before you give us the show. You don't have to give us the pre-show. He comes in, yes, he's a commentator. That's not his job now. No. He says, I'm going to go to the doctor on Monday. You could have said that. You didn't need to call a fight. That was pointless and purposeless because it put you in the position of wearing the hat where somehow you are semi-objective, semi-fair, and you're saying things like, yes, he's the greatest of all time. Yeah, oh yes, he's the greatest of all time. Yes, his penis is very long. It's really, really long and big and thick and women like. Actually, my wife loves it. My wife probably has thoughts of him when we are having sexual contact. You know, it's funny that it's what can I say? Man, how are you gonna put yourself in a fucking position to be singing this guy's praises for over 3 hours? How are you going to do that and think that makes any kind of sense? You're a friend of Knuckle Up, my friend, but this was a fatal mistake. You're sitting up there. I mean, okay, it's a fatal mistake if you accept that you're going to end your career with a belt loss and a nice hefty hop, skip, and jump into color commentating for Fox. Yeah, he's got the gift of gab. He's really personable. I fucking like the guy. I really like the guy. I like the guy. But that job was his anyway. It was fait accompli. It was his job. He wasn't going to lose it. He didn't have to do this. They could have. He could have run anybody out there. You could have run anybody out there. You know who needs a little bit of love? Get Kane out there. Get Kane out there. Well, Kane is not, he's not that big of a talker, but he's on the same team. Gives him, run Javier Mendez out there. Javier Mendez he's a talker. You can put him out there, but anything but the dude himself. What kind of message does that send? What kind of message? You tell me what kind of message that sends. He sits there for 3 hours singing about how great Johnny Boney Joni is. You don't think that's gonna fuck with your head? You don't think that's gonna? Okay, so Eugene, you're looking at this the wrong way. I'm willing to accept that. And maybe you say to me, Eugene, don't you understand what he's doing? He's playing tri-level chess by calling the fight. He's seeding the clouds with his version of reality. Vis-a-vis, John Jones looked rusty. Oh my God, I'm so upset I didn't get this fight, because if it was this fight, oh, let me tell you, John wouldn't have. If he looked this way, And in essence, he's doing what that roommate of mine once did to me. Oh, so you got a date, huh? Pretty excited about that date. Girl's pretty hot, huh? Yeah, really? Yeah, boy. Well, you know, you'll probably be able to get it up tonight. It'll be fine. You know, I mean, yeah, some guys have a hard time getting up on the first date when it's, you know, the first time, call them first time fuck jitters. Everybody has heard of those, you know, the first, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know, you're going to, and then, I mean, even if you get it up, you know, then maybe keeping it up is something else, you know, God, you know, you start thinking about other things, and then suppose you do keep it up, then you premature ejaculate. I mean, it's so much to think about. It's amazing we can get through any act of sexual congress in one piece without embarrassing ourselves and her telling all of our friends about it. Yeah, you've heard this joke before. You get Donna Shalala and me on my own show, but this roommate of mine did this to me for like 2 hours. And the first 10 minutes, it was funny. 2 hours later, he had wormed his way into my head. That night, the woman was like, she must have told her friends, like, man, Eugene was a tiger. I wasn't actually having sex with her. I was slaying the demons of failure sown by my wise-ass roommate. So maybe DC could make that claim. He's up. What pieces of information did he transmit via the ether to Johnny Boney Joni? That he was rusty. That he up there with the messages about him being the greatest of all time, him being the pound for pound best, him being the best that the world has ever seen, him being phenomenal and able to genius of the eight-sided octagon. He did say that he looked rusty and then he wished he had fought him. Let's look at that. That's about 4 or 5 great things. I'll just do that. And that's about 2 bad things. So if that was really the stratagem, I don't know if the stratagem really worked. But I do know what did work. Sitting there for 3 hours, dressed up, and then giving a forum for Johnny Boney Joey to get out of the cage, mad dog you. And then when Joe says something and finally get your attention, you turn around, he goes, isn't it a miracle? Isn't it a miracle that when Johnny Boney Joni became Johnny Boney Joni, we fucking love him? You know the first thing he said after he beat Stephen Bonner in that press conference? He said in that press conference with Stephen Bonner, and just in case some of you are concerned about whether or not I have pants on, do not have pants on, baby. So the first thing he said in that press, well, not the first thing, but one of the things he said in that press conference with Stephen Bonner, who he beat way back, probably his second fight in the UFC, or the first that I noticed. And he's like, they said, what are you going to do? You won. You beat this like famous guy. Now he goes, well, I think I'm going to go home and see my girl and go commune with nature, man. So I love the guy. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that Johnny Boney Joni was going to golly gee willikers his way all the way to the countryside and hang out there for a few seconds and smoke a doob or something, sit cross-legged and barefooted on a rock for about 80 seconds and then get up and jump in the Bentley and pull. Well, back then he didn't have a Bentley, but you know what I mean? Look, I've said America hates winners, but they make us feel uncomfortable. This is why we crucified Jesus. You know, some guy shows up and says he's the son of God. You're like, I got it. You know, so you're better than me. Well, I didn't say I'm better than you. I just said I'm the son of God. Yeah, okay. So you are better than me, son of God. And then they crucified him, you know. So it's not so much that I'm not want to retrot over how America hates winners and it's more that winners make us feel they shine uncomfortable lights in uncomfortable places for us, you know. A guy runs in and tells me, you know, he just got a major shoe contract because he's an on-air personality. I start to think, hey, you know, how come I don't get that shoe? They gave the chimps the raisins. One chimp 8 raisins, the other chimp 2 raisins. Chimps were perfectly happy with the 2 raisins. Fuck, I got 2 raisins. Now, when they took those monkeys and then they gave the monkey the shit reward, the monkey flipped out, but the monkey was on a direct one-to-one relationship. It wasn't comparative. René Girard, the French philosopher who just died, called it mimetic desire. All conflict comes from mimetic desire. You got something, and I want what you got. But in this instance, I mean, you know, look, I don't know. What I do know beyond the shadow of a doubt is that this is a tough game. I don't want to come down too heavily on DC. It's a tough game. You got a job. If Johnny wasn't fighting at all, he probably would have been working that night. So in other words, if Saturday is your night to show up for work, you got to show up for work. I knew a woman who was a prostitute. And I said, hey, she goes, well, I don't want to be a prostitute in the town where I was at college. So I went to the town outside. I'd get in a train. 45 minutes later, I'd be in town. I figured nobody's going to know me there. I was working out of a massage parlor. I go, that sounds convenient. She goes, yeah, except for one point tension point. I go, what was that? She goes, well, my boyfriend at the time, his family lived in the town where I was a prostitute. And I go, huh, that could have been kind of weird if the father had come into the massage parlor. I go, how would that have played out? She goes, what are you talking about? Like it was not a question. I go, well, no, if the father comes in the room, it seems like it would be, he goes, he's a customer, he paid. He should get what he pays for. Got nothing, what happens outside has got nothing to do. I'm a professional, I'd have done my job. So maybe that's the deal, Maybe the deal is that, you got to go to work. So dude goes to work. So if he goes to work, there's certain ways to do your job. I'm not going to tell him another man how to do his job, but I think that he has done lasting damage to his psyche, and that's why I'm ranting about it. I think, and I'm gonna balance this out with Conor McGregor, Conor McG, Mystic Mac. Much like Chael Sonnen, whose mouth wrote big checks that his ass wasn't really able to to cash. Yeah, I love Chael Sonnen, but where he finally hit, it was good enough for him to make that slide. I don't think DC is either going to make that slide to full-time color commentator, which is his lot in life, I believe, or he's gonna fight this fight. But until, what would Nick Diaz do? What would Nate do? He would have been glowering at the guy. He wouldn't have been there sitting happy, glad-handed, and up in the guy's reputation. That's not what he would have been doing. And he wouldn't have been doing it to be a prick. He would not have been doing that because he was focused on what he should have been focused on, which is wiping him off of the planet. Well, not the planet. It's uncomfortable to say stuff like that now since the guy died in Ireland, but you know what I mean. So we have him in the booth, sitting not the booth, at the table, singing Johnny Bunny Johnny's praises, or trying to seed the clouds against him. But the reality of it is, and this is like the amazing, great thing, the reality of it is, the bad shit, remember the two bad things? There were four great things, and the two bad things he said about Johnny Bunny Johnny, they were patently incorrect. Now, I got some of you texting me during the fight. I just watched the fight. So I had a show last night, and I had to watch it today. Texted me during the fight, like, oh, he looks rusty. See, the difference is, I watched the prelims with, somehow the sound went out. I didn't have any sound by the prelims. But you try watching these fights sometime without the sound, because if you watch the fight with the sound and then you watch it with Joe saying, he looks rusty, and Goldie saying, rusty. It's like Rob Schneider, the copy guy. Joe wrote, look it up. Joe Rogan says, he looks rusty. So everybody now, we got this rusty. And Johnny Bunny Johnny says, I felt rusty out there. I felt hesitant. I don't know what I feel. I hated my performance. I don't want to be Debbie Downer because I'm being Debbie Downer, but in reality, he didn't like it. Yeah. There is, if you're in a band and you do 17 shows in a row, you can power through, and you won't start getting tired till like the 16th show, because no matter what, you got to make it to the show. Through the shows, you don't get paid. So when they had his best year was when he had like five fights in that year. Or not five, but he had a lot of 4 fights. I think it was 4 fights in that year, and that was a schedule where they were just trying to, not believing he could do it, trying to give him harder challenges. And as he started, he's it. He's Neo. He is the one. Matrix. He's the guy. He's a guy the prophecy was foretold, and they gave him successively bigger challenges, and then he got to the mountaintop. Strap holder, 1 loss. You want to chart guys' careers? You know, talking about Pettis, talking about pre-loss Pettis, post-loss Pettis, pre-belt, belt, post-belt. Just like that roommate telling me about premature ejaculation, premature, erectile dysfunction, premature. You know, there's a mantra going through the minds of every single person who fights or competes in athletic endeavor, and it's like, maybe that thing I just won. Maybe I remember having this thought, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to let you in on this little window of insanity, but you do know, under the realm of knowable but unknown, you do know, if you're a man, that you have a finite number of erections. Doesn't seem that way, does it? It seems like if I wanted to get erections every 5 minutes, I could get erections every 5 minutes, and erections seem to be without end. But the reality of it is, we don't know what that number is, but there is a finite number. There is a point after which you will never have an erection again. That could be when you die. But there is a point where we could go from the beginning of your life to the end of your life and count the number of erections and come up with a finite number. Just like you could do with your days on this planet. Does it improve the quality of your existence on this planet to know how many erections you have left or how many days you have left? No. And it's easy. It's like going up a roller coaster. It's like going up a roller coaster pre-success. Pettis going up to the belt is looking at very different things. He's looking at the sky. Johnny Boney Joni on his way up, he's like, you know, there's Leota. Okay, there's Rashad. All right, there's Shogun. Okay, and you're looking up the hill at all these things, and there's the sky, and it's like, man. And then you get to the top, and it's just like more track. And then next thing you know, you crash into an old lady, a pregnant lady, and then you're just looking at all the track down below you. Okay, he's young enough, strong enough, and good enough where Johnny Boney Joni, in all likelihood, well, it's not even in all likelihood. This is a fact of the matter. It's been like this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. But I think what happened, that rust, that hesitancy, my first use of Borgia Moy, this show, God love him. God love DC. But he is exactly 100% right. He would have still lost, but this is the Johnny Boney Joni he should have fought. This is not who will show up. This is not who will show up when they do fight. No. First of all, 11 weeks is not enough for a guy who now has become a friend with Uber and Lyft to screw anything up. And I think that if you look at his face, he goes, I don't want to be Debbie Downer. I'm disappointed in myself. You people are like, oh, you know, they want to accrue the benefit of the credit to OSP. OSP was just OSP. I've never, you know, I've seen cool things from OSP. In my mind, uneven. I'm not saying he was uneven here. He stuck it through the end. But I didn't get the sense that I could see after the third round, Johnny Boney Jr. was sort of like, I should put this guy. I don't want to let this guy get the championship rounds. But after that, it seemed to me like he was RoboCopping it, by which I mean specifically after the guy who plays RoboCop gets killed and they reconstitute him as a cyborg, he went out to try a bunch of stuff. You know, the hand of crushing the can, he could lift the car, you know, using his machine gun, seeing what he could do. That's what we just saw. Did you ever see, was there ever any point at which, you know, even the so-called slobber knocker where he got hit in the mouth and his mouthpiece didn't go out, but there was a bunch of spit went out, and Joe Rogan called it the slobber knocker. Was there even that? Are you going to tell? There was never at any point, I guarantee you, there was not any single point, no matter how much of a nut jumper or a Johnny Boney Joni hater you were, there can't have been a single point where you thought, man, he's gonna lose. There wasn't that edge of your seat thing. And more specifically, if you want to talk about greatest of all time stuff, you know what Johnny Boney Joni didn't do? I mean, he didn't have an emotional basis to do it against OSP. But what he didn't do is he didn't Jose Aldo it. You know, he came out in his poison toad stance, you know, crawled to the center of the cage, just hung out there for a bit. I mean, this is like if you watch a Sakuraba or Yara Rodriguez, you know, these are the guys, you know, watching these guys think. They're thinking on their feet. This is the genius of the art. They're thinking quickly on their feet, but they're thinking on their feet. And it's like, when did my writing as a writer of fiction get better? It got better when I started making intuitive choices. That's the fucking spirit of art. So he comes out, you know, and OSP doesn't know what he kind of forward, and it's lost. It's done. It's done. It's done. At the point where I pull out a painting and show it to you, or I play you a song, you don't belong to you anymore. You understand? I had a friend, Scott Salzman, at Stuyvesant High School back in the 70s, hated music. He said he hated music because he didn't like the idea of other people determining his rhythms. And invariably, when you're listening to music, your rhythm changes to accommodate the rhythm of the song. The commissars in town. Now, if you know that song, the rest of the line is in your head. I own you. Or maybe more specifically, the band Golden Earring owns you. So Johnny comes out slowly. He showed OSP the painting. OSP is gone. The rest of the time, it's act, react. Could be a Dianetics primer. Third round, Johnny Boney Joni was upset and he said, fuck it. I mean, why? Well, he knew he had won the fight. Unless something cataclysmic happened after the third round, it wasn't like even if OSP had a great fourth or fifth round, it wasn't going to happen. He was trying stuff out, the robotic hand, the x-ray vision, to see what happened, see where he was lacking. If he's anything like I suspect he might be, before he got back to the locker room, or maybe once he got back to the locker room, he said to Greg Jackson, "Hey, you want to keep eating? You want to keep eating? You want to keep driving that nice Cadillac Escalade you have, and you and your wife bought that nice house? You want to keep living in places like that? You know, in order for that to happen, I got to keep winning. The fuck you doing running me out there like that?" For which Greg Jackson would go, "Look, I think we need to all calm down, step ahead. You know, we're going to focus. We had distractions this time. You know, you were in jail for a couple of days. Well, that's what he's thinking. He doesn't say it because he's got to get paid." So what we had expected to see, I admit this, and what we should have seen, and what we did see are very different things. We expected to see a cruel, violent, and vicious dispatch. But like he said, I only did 20% of what I could do, and he got over with it. But suddenly, for the first time, he started to feel or started to think, like looking at that roller coaster this way, that, you know what, there's going to come a point when you've exceeded your number of lifetime erections and there will be no more. And if you don't think, why is the first thing he did when he got out of the cage, look for DC and give him the finger? That's what he was thinking about. He wasn't thinking about the guy he had just dispatched. No. He was thinking about the guy with the baby blue tie and the shirt, or I don't remember what color his tie was, sitting down next to Rogan. He was like, God damn it. You know, if I had brought fucking around and, you know, and if I'm GJ, Greg Jackson at this point, I'm taking over. Because that's right, I do I do like that Escalade, and I do like that house. I like all that stuff. Winkle John, they like all the nice things they got. They like them all. Distractions gone. Got your driver gone. Because you know, got 11 weeks. This guy comes back with a positive report on Monday, which you know he's going to come back with. You got to face it. And nobody but anybody believes that this is anything but DC's last stand. Win or lose, I'm anticipating that he's done. Because he's a great commentator. Why would he get Brian, the other guys who have left under much other circumstances, much lighter outside promise have left. Johnny Boney Joni, however, he will not. I mean, I'm glad to see his family there, his support network, but there comes a point where, and maybe it's could me being hopeful, but maybe he's realized that like, he wouldn't have gotten by Rumble with that. And he maybe wouldn't have got, and it's his realization of those things that has created an existential crisis for him. This, more than anything, is what he needed to change his life. You realize how long he's been out? Screw it. In 11 weeks, he fights again. Perfect. Get him up. Line him up. Line up Rumble already. Get him focused like a laser and not focused on this other bullshit, like the hangers-on in New Mexico. I got the spies, buddy. Spies let me know. Yeah, and Sal Mora gave me a hard time. Sal Mora is from New Mexico because I said the problems with Rashad Evans started in New Mexico. I didn't say that. I didn't write that headline, first of all. You don't always write your headlines, But what I said is that I think, like that guy in Belgium told me, 5 languages, no government. Belgium is a problem. I'm saying I think that, look, New Mexico might be a problem. Number 2 cause of death by overdose in the nation. Might be a problem. If you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. Might be a problem. You just build a big facility there in New Mexico. God love you. Okay. But at this point now, I wonder if you have to do anything. Because we've seen examples of guys who not fucking coming back. Like DMX said, man, you're lying on your back and you're on your back staring at the steel. You're on your back staring. What the hell is it? What the hell is the line? Now, because I'm combining 2 lines. I got to straighten my leg. Sorry. So let's see. What do you say? Here you go. On his back, lying at the roof of the church, and it hurts. No, on his back, looking at the roof of the church, preacher telling the truth, and it hurts. That's a DMX. That's a whole line. Lying on your back in the church, looking at the ceiling, and it hurts. By which I mean, I'm speaking very specifically about Anthony Pettis. Now, I called it I had a win-loss for Pettis. I just got the Pettises confused. I said that Sergio would lose and that Anthony would win. As luck would have it, it was the other way around. Anthony, because Anthony is dealing with the finite erection issue, Yeah, FEI. He's gripping and he's panicked and he's never, ever, ever fucking coming back. Ever. No more Wheaties boxes. I'm hearing strange noises. No more Wheaties boxes. No more nightclubs. And man, when you walk out of the cage, you do that sad walk back to the dressing room, and I catch a glimmer of that back tattoo that says Showtime. All I think of is Raging Bull and overweight Jake LaMotta standing back of the club. So give me a space where this bull can rage, and we rage all over you. Oh man, that roller coaster ride is a motherfucker. It's and I'm not talking about your roller coaster ride. I'm talking about our collective roller coaster ride. It's a It's a bitch. And I think half of the reason why people come to Oxbow shows because they want to be there for that moment when I Jackie Wilson it, when I die on stage, when all of a sudden it's pretty clear that the roller coaster has gotten to the top of the hill and he's not looking at sky. I mean, in my mind, largely it's music. It's different. It's not an athletic endeavor. But I'm like, well, I can't lose if I don't quit. That explains 53-year-old rock and roller. Right? But Pettis, oh my God, man. It's stunning. It's stunning and uncomfortably stunning. It really is. It really is. Edson Barboza is uneven. He's a hell of a gatekeeper. But you know what? This is the nature. You got Joe Silva. Joe Silva reminds me of the VC, not venture capital, baby, Viet Cong. And he says, you know, we're sitting in this hotel room getting drunk and fat, and Charlie's in the bush eating rat meat. Every day I get weaker, he gets stronger. That's Joe Silva. Because Anthony got paid because of who he had been coming over from WEC, he was getting paid a lot. If you're going to get paid a lot, a lot's expected of you. You know, and you're either going to get back to where we don't feel bad about paying you a lot, or you're going to get gone. And you're going to get tough-ass gatekeepers like Barboza. Barboza is not fucking threatening. Nobody's seeing him at the top of the food chain necessarily. He's up there, but he's not like, you know, if I said it's a Barboza belt holder, you go, whoa, what happened? That's what you would say. That Pettis didn't see us, or maybe he saw it all too clearly, was like, oh my God, you know, and he's up there, and now that's not what's happening. He's not seeing just a bunch of straight track in front of him. He's feeling that he's tilting. I'm not saying he got to his last erection. I'm just saying, ask Diana Ross where the road turns. I have no idea, baby, but you know. And what do you think? You say, okay, I got shoved out the door of the club. The best way for me to get back in the club is immediately to shove my way back in. What, so that means you fight Edson Barboza again? If Barboza, both of you go into it knowing this is a guy who got 86th. You get 86th once, man. You're much likely to get much more likely to get 86th again. Shocking. Yeah, it hurts. And those of you who are waiting for me to say it, you don't know I didn't even need to say it. But dude's in the mist. Gorillas, report to the mist, says Ice Cube. He is in the mist. But you know what? Maybe not, because I think based on his performance that he knows exactly where he is. Anthony Pettis is under no illusion about where he is. You know? Which means that he is not Phantom Tollbooth necessarily. I'm gonna have to go with Major Tom. Because what do you do with that guy now? Well, I don't know how many fights he had on his contract, but I know he was getting a lot of money. So if that was his last fight on the contract and he's got to sign a new contract, they will sign a new contract to keep him out of the hands of Bellator, but it won't be for the same kind of money. No, sirree. Which will be another nail. Nothing softening that hammer and coffin. And all we got to do is look at Ben Henderson and go, huh. Oxbow figured that shit out early. We played someplace in Poitiers, France, and the guy kept saying, what do you care? You're getting paid state-sponsored money. We're paying you tons of money. You're staying in the best hotel in town. You're playing the best, biggest venue. Yeah, great. The venue held 1,000 people. We drew 150. 150 people in a venue that holds 200 feels great. 150 in a venue that holds 1,000 does not feel great at all. So, sorry, dude. That's my Burt Young imitation, you know, who played Talia Shire's brother in Rocky. Will you go? You come by here? Will you? Burt Young is great. Burt Young is great. He gave money to friends of mine, punk rock lunacy, hanging out at shows, hardcore shows back in the 80s. Burt Young, Rocky's brother-in-law, fucking great. All right, so but I did skip one, and I called Johnny Bongiorno. I thought it was inadvisable calling anybody else. I also called Demetrius Johnson against Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo, up until recently, when he first debuted, I was not impressed. But he's been looking like a killer coming into it. But you had to know, you can't. It was like when Johnny Bongiorno, who had a chip on his shoulder about the whole gold medal thing, fought Daniel Cormier the first time. You know, there was absolutely no way that Mighty Mouse was going to let you get, oh, so you got a gold medal. You got 23 national wrestling awards, huh? This is MMA, baby. I own it. Yeah, no, I own it, and you're going to get it. And that's precisely what happened. Both of these, I feel bad for taking these as wins. They were favorites, but I know there were plenty of people thinking Cejudo was going to do it. Cejudo, I call him Cejudo. But see, there's some fights, this doesn't have to be a classification system for anything. Somebody asked me that in the comments. I go, no. It doesn't have to be a classification. They're just some fighters who are just there. They're just Cejudo, is he diminished? Is he looking at a roller coaster ride down? Is he looking at a long, flat stretch of roller coaster? Or is he still looking at the sky? No. So the guy he is there. He is there. And with a minor maybe weight gain or weight loss, strange. Look, you remember there's a time when Anthony Rumble Johnson was done, dropping 3 weight classes. Nah. Now he's not. There are places to be reinvigorated. I'm saying that he's in a great place. And anyway, you get a guy who's got an 11-0 record. I never buy it. I never fucking buy it. I know there's some kind of weird collusion going on. I will not buy it. They had me on that radio, WBZU, I think was the station, jaywalking. I love this guy in Boston, AM radio stations. CBS owns it, and talking about Hitler and the escape. And guy didn't laugh me out of the place, so I was pretty thankful. But I thought about that because of the idea of the guy not being finished. You can have a guy who's not finished, doesn't mean he's not alive. In regards to Hitler, people thought I was nuts for this. Or people, generally, I couldn't find any serious academic who would go on record as saying that they agreed with the contention that I was researching, which was that he escaped and he was in Argentina. Wouldn't do it, even though these guys are the ones, whole cloth, haven't even looked at, said credible academics, authorities say that he died in the bunker. Credible, I don't know what you mean. But in any case, Cejudo is not finished. He is still he doesn't. Not everybody gets classified, Not everybody gets classified. I did, and you see, we call it foreshadowing in literary terms. By mentioning, I did know. I finally figured out where I got the show opener from. I'm watch the whole trilogy again. I mentioned earlier in the show Neo and the Matrix and so on. And when they're at the end, I think of the third one, when Zion is about to fall. Oh, Papa just got in trouble with a female dog outside. Yeah, welcome to the club, buddy. So and the guy gets inside the robotic suit to shoot the the squids or whatever, the sentinels. And he says, "Knuckle up!" Because when he raises his arm, it raises the arms of the robot that they're in and the guns up. And I was like, "Oh shit! Wait a minute!" And then I started to think that they stole it from me, because I've been doing this show for so long that maybe they stole it from me. And I go, nah. I got a martial artist calling me, Sensei Robert Crossan. I've done an article on him. He's pretty phenomenal. I can't talk to him now though. But so that's where I clearly, unless Wachowski, I can't how you pronounce your name, were mining my mind. That's clearly where I got the knuckle up from. So sometimes you yourself don't know what you yourself just said. Didn't know. Anyway, let's keep going. We got about 10 minutes, and I'm going to race through these. So we talked about Johnny Bongiorno, Demetrius Johnson, Pettis, Robert Whittaker, you know, Rafael's and Natal, friend of Knuckle Up, Harley Flanagan, and Henzo Gracie's. You know, he went over from Jersey. He was doing some gi training with those guys this past week in New York City. Harley's let me know, and I said, "Man, I love your boy, but he's not winning this fight. You know, he's not going to win the fight." And he goes, "Oh no, man, he's got this takedown thing." I go, "Yeah, but he's not going. He's not going to win." You know, Whittaker's. There's a benefit to streaking. Youth will have its say. I just don't see it happening. He's like, "Yeah, but," and I go, "Look, there's no buts about this. There's really no buts about this." So he Whittaker did beat him. I picked him to win. He won. It was an exciting fight. I was excited. Yair Rodriguez. I picked him, and he had to be one of my most significant don't cares who became a care. I think that the guy is. I would do a couple of things for that guy. I would get him taking English classes better, so his English is great, I think, but I want him to feel more comfortable. But I think the guy, I'm almost willing to say that the guy has got it. I mean, you know, Sakuraba, you put a camera in front of his face, wasn't much it there. But what that guy did in the ring, Sakuraba, was enough to create oodles and oodles of it. Same with Fedor, who put a camera in front of him. The guy is like, it's like looking at a trout. But, you know, same with but what he's pulling off in the cage, super phenomenal, super significant. And it's one of those things where I'm really glad that I got to see it. Yeah, no, hold on. What's happening here? So Andre Touchy-Feely, nah. He's not a guy who I've trusted. And so I bet on, you can see my notes where I said, now Chris Kalades was a gimme. He was 9-2, but he's a gimme. I so much didn't know his name that I just wrote, not Pettis. You see up here, not Pettis. I didn't know the guy. I couldn't remember the guy's name in the midst of the Care Don't Care preview. Couldn't remember it, so I just said not. But he was a gimme, and Pettis just barely eked by the guy. I don't care what they say in the decision. That was a barely. And you know, it's like two birds tied together, maybe or maybe not. They, you know, Rufus Sport is kind of, you know, they're stumbling. Rufus Sport, Duke has been a friend of Knuckle Up, been on the show, but these guys have been training other places. They're just trying to get some of the magic back. We also call that running scared. And I'm thinking that the greater tectonic weight belongs to Anthony, and I think Sergio, first of all, is not making the same money, so he might be around longer, but he's no Nate. He's no Nate Diaz. You see how I'm putting this show together? I mentioned Nate Diaz because for the last 6 minutes, it lets me get back to Conor McGregor. Because I'm not going to talk about, I picked not Esparza, which means that I had picked Juliana Lima, who I thought was game, but not game enough. And I picked Efrain Escudera, and of course he got Escudera. So I'm at 500. But I have to say, after we did, if I did it last week, and Conor McGregor came out with the news, and people are trying to digest what exactly this news means. You're trying to get your hands on what this news means. And this means there's not a single word that he wrote in that Facebook post that was not dead on the fucking money. Guy's a true believer. Sometimes true believers can fuck up the works. People go, oh, you know, he's a cynical opportunist. He's a cynical opportunist would have fought that fight for the $3 million. Ready or not, fuck it. And you say, well, no, he is a cynical opportunist because he knows if he fought that fight and lost, that he would get less money the next time. That's not. It's clearly not. If you believe that, there's something wrong with it. The guy is a true believer. He said, I need to focus on the fight game, not the flyer game. I got to focus on what got me here. What got me here. He's talking about elements of belief. What got me here. And you know, and I'm not at this point, I'm now too late to be the first one to say it, but I understand Russia's positioning. Nobody weighs more than us. Nobody. He doesn't weigh more than Russia. But you know, how does a Gentile do business? Fuck it. How does a Jew do business? Fuck it. Let's make this work. You know, you should have swallowed. You got UFC 200. You're not gonna. He's already prepared for it. What he's saying is in a limited time frame. You know, I have to make decisions about what's best going to get me back to a place I need to be. Take away the fact I don't give a fuck about that. All that points to, in my mind, true belief. And true belief, I said, you can't work with a Ted Cruz. You cannot work with a Ted Cruz. You cannot work with true believers. You can make deals with cynical opportunists. However, the best Trojan horse for a really high-level operating cynical opportunist is true belief. I'm sorry if I didn't mention that before, but you can clearly see Elmer Gantry. You can clearly see Jim Baker. You can take any high-profile true believer. And the reason why I like it so much when they fall is because they really reveal themselves to be cynical opportunists of the highest order. You know, I read that about, or I heard that from a super credible source about L. Ron Hubbard. Not a true believer, cynical opportunist. Don't give a fuck. Not going to divulge my sources. Talking about his personal friends, not acolytes. Conor McGregor is a true believer, and what he's doing is 100% correct. And what the argument, the fucking argument that the bald one using is one always used by guys in power, and it drives me crazy, and it precipitates a fucking fall. And what they say every single time is, what kind of message would that send? What if everybody, and then I got to go back to Yossarian with Catch-22. What if everybody did that? If everybody did the press conferences they wanted to, right? He goes, well, then I'd be a damn fool to do otherwise. That's what Yossarian would say. What McGregor should say, and what I should say next time somebody says, well, you know, what kind of message would that send if I let you do, you know, if everybody wanted to do what you did, everybody won't, because everybody's not me. I like it. It's a nice, powerful salvo to try to get me to believe that there's some sort of parity between me and all the other bums out there, but I won't fucking believe it. And he said, run that mushhead Nate out there. Nate, who's a known associate. I'm just saying what Conor McGregor said. Run him out there. Let him do some press this time instead of banging shots on the beach and having no stress. I got the stress. I got to prepare for the fight. So you're going to teach him a lesson by not letting him fight 200? Oh, I see. So we can watch who? Who else? Don't cut your nose off despite your face. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not the only one saying this. I just read some guy in Sherdog saying the same thing. But they always make this mistake. People in power make this mistake because they get lost in the symbology of it. Very rarely do you have a cynical opportunist in the highest office of power making really smart decisions about deals. Because a deal is a product of weakness in the mind of a person in power. People cut deals are the people who have to cut deals. Not realizing that everybody has to cut a deal. Russia is a deal incarnate. This is what Stalin didn't get. It's a deal incarnate. It doesn't exist. It's just a hunk of fucking dirt. The abstraction made real of Russia as a place and a population that has weight and bearing, the collective will of a people, are abstractions. That's it. That's it. Conor McGregor is dead on the fucking money. And not only this, I'd like to say as a cynical opportunist that, you know, he's made a genius move. That this is a genius fucking move that he's made. Genius. Setting himself up for a huge payday. Well, you know what? I would say it if it was guaranteed, but given how the Baldwin's acting, no, this is not guaranteed at all. Not at all. But from his point of view, it's like, hey, if you need me for this fight, I will be ready for this fight. If you give me 6 months before you give me this fight, you know, I will be ready. I will be more ready for this fight. But I'm going to be as ready for this fight as I can be in the time I'm given, because I'm going to fucking beat him, because I believe I can. And Nate is falling in line. Nate is like, I have no interest in fighting anybody else. I want the red panties, man. I want the red panties. Somebody's got to get to the bald one and talk some sense into him, because this shit doesn't make any sense. It's not like fucking Nate Marquardt's going to stand up and start making demands. I don't feel like doing the press. All right, see ya. Well, I mean, no, see ya. But I mean, see ya. So for the record, as we end the show, Eugene's at 500. I got 4 right, 4 wrong, a lot of don't cares. At this point now, you know how I watch the don't cares? I fast forward. You want to fight an interesting fight on don't, and you're a don't care, you got to do something amazing. So I stop it. And I'm not fast forward 10 times. I'm just 2 times. So I can actually watch the action just sped up. My mind is, you know, you can, I'm not a serious person if I do it 30 times or 10 times plus. You know, you can 30x when you want to advance through. I'm doing this. So there you go. At 500, I think, I don't know, I can't remember where Kid Nate was. Trying to make him happy. No more. I'm back. I'm back to my crushing ways. Next week's picks for sure. Stay tuned. There'll be, if I did it, there'll be care or don't care. We got more fights. And I got some, I don't know if you guys have tuned in to the Ozzy. You go to Ozzy's Facebook page, and then I do these Facebook Live things on Ozzy, which are going to be Ozzy has made the claim they want me to do more stuff like that. You know, it's like the truth. You can't handle the truth. We'll see. We'll see. But we'll actually do it from the Ozzy office, so you get to see me in my work environment, actually being a little bit more sane than a half-naked man on a dirty couch. Well, I'm actually in a leather chair, but you know what I mean. So that's the end of the show. UFC, Knuckle Up, 319, UFC 197, Johnny Boney Johnny, Rope-a-Dope in the world, Conor McGee, genius. You've heard it here. What does Kid Nate say? Go down, give it a thumbs up, and I got nothing else. Read the intro as well. I always put interesting stuff in the intro. Anyway, that's it. We'll see you next week. Look what you made me do!